Sometimes a single number can tell a really powerful story about our communities. It can cut right through all the noise and show you something you might not have seen before. So let's kick this off with one of those numbers. $73 billion. That's the household earnings of immigrants in Washington state, just for the year 2022. It's a huge figure, right? It immediately tells you there's a massive economic presence here. But what's the real story behind a number that big? And where does this data even come from? Well, everything we're going to talk about is grounded in this really thorough state study from the League of Women Voters of Washington. They didn't just pull numbers out of thin air. They used hard data, interviews, and legal analysis to paint this incredibly detailed picture of Washington's immigrant population, their contributions, the complexities, and of course, the challenges. All right, so first up, who exactly are these neighbors? Let's get a clearer picture of this vital part of the state's population. We're not talking about a small fraction of people here. This is more than 1 in 7 people living in Washington. So these are our neighbors, our colleagues. They are a huge and integral part of the fabric of the state. And the term immigrant isn't just one thing, right? It covers this huge range of experiences. You've got naturalized citizens who are now full U.S. citizens, permanent residents with green cards, but also students, asylum seekers, and refugees. And get this, the community is pretty new. Nearly 2/3 of them arrived just since 2010. And while most live in Western Washington, their roots are global, with nearly half coming from Asia. Okay, now let's connect the dots between the people and the economic powerhouse they represent. Remember that $73 billion number we started with? Well, that was just the warm-up. And we're not just talking about one specific industry here. The study makes it super clear that immigrants are woven into the very fabric of Washington's economy, from top to bottom. They're critical in high-paying sectors like tech, and also in the foundational jobs that keep this state running every single day. And this chart just illustrates that perfectly. I mean, look at these numbers. Over 3/4 of all agricultural workers in the state, they are literally feeding Washington. And at the same time, they're more than half of all software developers and almost half of all housekeepers. This isn't just a contribution, it's essential. These industries literally depend on immigrant labor to function. And it's not just about filling jobs, it's about creating them. Get this, 1 out of every 5 entrepreneurs in Washington is an immigrant. Think about what that means. Their businesses are generating over $3 billion a year in income, creating jobs and opportunities for everyone. And here's another jaw-dropper for you, $20 billion. That's what immigrants paid in taxes in a single year. We're talking $14.7 billion to the federal government and another $5.5 billion that funds our local schools, our roads, and public services. The point is, this is a community that is investing heavily in their new home. But the story isn't all about economic success. The study also shines a really bright light on the huge systemic hurdles that stop a lot of immigrants from being able to fully integrate and really thrive. So it kind of begs the question, right? With all this clear evidence of their economic and social contributions, why is the path so difficult for so many? What's really getting in the way? Well, the study found this web of interconnected challenges, where one problem just makes another one worse. You see it right here. If there are long delays in getting your work permit, it's almost impossible to get stable housing. If you're not eligible for insurance, you end up with untreated health issues. And the legal system itself, with its high costs and long waits, creates this constant, overwhelming stress. And this quote from the report, it just hits you. It really brings the human cost of all of this into focus. After all the talk about economics and policy, what it really boils down to for so many people is this fundamental, terrifying fear of being separated from the people they love. The stakes are just incredibly high. This chart really visualizes the problem in just one of those areas, healthcare. The difference is just stark. 1 in 8 legal immigrants doesn't have access, but for undocumented immigrants, that number shoots up to 1 in 3. Basically, your legal status can be the single biggest factor in whether or not you can see a doctor. Okay, so after laying out all these challenges, what's the solution? The great thing about this study is that it doesn't just point out the problems, it offers a real roadmap for change, starting at the state level. The report has a bunch of specific recommendations, but we've kind of grouped them into 4 big steps for the state. First, fix the broken systems by funding legal help and speeding up work permits. Second, expand access to the basics, like healthcare and language classes. Third, actively protect workers and families. And finally, take a strong public stand against xenophobia and bias. But, big changes don't just come from the state capital. The report is really clear that local, community level action is absolutely crucial in making Washington a more welcoming place. And the study boils this down to three really powerful actions. First, just getting out there and asking people what they actually need. Second, teaming up with the immigrant-led groups that are already doing this important work. And third, boosting civic engagement, making sure the democratic process is accessible to every new citizen. And that really brings us to the heart of it all. The data is clear, the contributions are immense, and the challenges are very real. This study provides a roadmap, but it ultimately leaves us with a question to think about. Beyond all the policy and numbers, what does a truly welcoming community look like and feel like, right where you live?